Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. It's time to discuss our second hot topic that says Nigeria third in Africa for U.S. deportations, asylum requests rise. Nigeria ranked third in Africa for U.S. deportations in 2024 with over 400 removals, trailing only Cameroon and Ethiopia. Asylum seekers from Nigeria also made up a significant portion of applications, with about 238 Nigerian asylum requests recorded. This marks a noticeable increase in both deportation and asylum claims compared to previous years. On the global stage, Nigeria's number remains small compared to applicants from Latin America and Eurasia. However, Africa's overall presence in the U.S. asylum process continues to grow. Notably, Russia, China, Venezuela, and Central American countries saw a significant number of asylum grants in 2024. The U.S. asylum process, governed by the Immigration and Nationality Act, sees many Nigerians' claim being processed under both affirmative and defensive tracks. Despite the rising number of claims, factors such as criminal convictions and misfiling deadlines often jeopardize asylum applications. And joining us this morning to discuss this is Toluwase Olaniyan. He's the Executive Director, EGO Foundation. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So one thing that have been established over time is with any country you have certain factors. So you have the push and you have the pull factor. So you have a factor that is pushing people away from their country, and in this case we see a country like Nigeria where a lot of people are going to other countries in search of greener pastures, and the good thing about those countries is they in turn have the pull factor. So maybe they have a better system that works, and different things, incentives for these people to want to come. In your own opinion, how do you think that, because of course the data shows that we're ranked third, right? But in your own opinion, how do you think we're doing currently on the global stage when it comes to the massive exodus of our people here, our talents having to go over to other countries?
Okay. Thanks for this interesting question, because like I said generally, right, that human capital is big business. Around the world, right? Human capital is a big business. So global mobility is a big deal at this time for whatsoever reason, right? But I say generally that Nigeria and Africa, as it were, the movements out of Africa is not as much as the noise that we make, right? Other nationalities move massively and the noise is very minimal, right? So I think we're just a bit too vocal about migration and movement, and talents moving around, and people moving around for different reasons, right, around the world. But I think that it's not as bad in Africa as it is in other continents and other nations, right? But we're just a bit too loud about our movement, and this movement have been happening from time immemorial, right? So there's nothing new about the movement, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting that you even say that, because I know that a lot of Asians, for instance, in the United Kingdom, it's almost like Asians are everywhere. They literally everywhere. I remember when I was in uni there, you're seeing so many people come from different countries, Kazakhstan, whatever it is, India, China, so many people. And even in the US, you're seeing that too. So people move from different countries for different reasons, right? But one thing that we know, or that has been said on paper, is Africa, is one of the largest economy. And I'm wondering, if Africa is one of the largest economy, why are people still seeking asylum elsewhere?
Okay, very interesting question, right? So people seeking asylum is it's personal, right? And it's also a global phenomenon, right? People from everywhere in the world move to everywhere to seek asylum, right? People go to the Netherlands to seek asylum. People come to Nigeria, right, to seek asylum, right?
Really?
But maybe because we're not structured as we should, so we are not able to capture the numbers and capture the figures, right? Well, asylum seeking is a global phenomenon and is very personal to individuals. So that Africa is a large economy does not underscore people's reason or doesn't speak to people's reasons for wanting to move to any part of the world and to seek asylum, right? And if you look at different countries have their like asylum criteria, and I mean people feel for so many reasons, right? For some reasons that I would not also be proud and be open to speak about on national TV. Some people who feel that their rights have been infringed in Nigeria for belief and for so many reasons, right? Also flee to seek asylum in Canada, in the US, in Netherlands, and everywhere around the world, right? So the economy is not a direct factor for people seeking asylum. It's very personal.
Okay. But how would you interpret the rise in, the deportation now? Because a lot of people are moving and some of those people obviously gets deported. So if we're saying that the economy is not just a major factor, because even sometimes, the system might just not work for you and you just feel like I might go somewhere else whereby the ease of just leaving is better for me, and that's where I want to be. So for you, how do you interpret this rise of people who are moving and even the ones that are being deported right now?
Okay, so interestingly, global mobility, right? The global mobility industry is gradually increasing again, right? So remember some 20, 30 years ago, there was an exodus of movements, particularly from Africa, right?
Yeah.
And that's why we have more in Canada, than the UK, and all of those people till now, right? So there's been a time where we experienced this exodus. So global mobility is a thing, right? So let's establish that and understand that people can go. Now, how do people go? How do people move? How do talents move around the world is now the issue, right? A lot of people do not go through the right route or through the right process, we then trigger the deportation per time, right? In every country around the world, if your documentations are right, you will be granted access into that space, right? But a lot of people do not put their documentation right. We then cause like a lot of, pretty sad stories of people being deported, people being stranded, and all of it. Global mobility is the thing. So nobody should shy away from the fact that they want to move and they want to live elsewhere. It is fine. But if you want to do this, ensure that you take the right route. So for different countries across the globe, there are different living criteria, right? So the Minister for Interior in Nigeria also was out speaking to the criteria for foreigners continuous living in Nigeria, right? So even in Nigeria we have criteria for, or else we'll deport them, the expatriates in quotes, right? So to avoid this deportation and to avoid all of these things, the proper procedure and proper route should be taken. But it's a global phenomenon. We all want to move around the world. We all want to experience what's happening around the world, to be able to better one's space or better one's livelihood. So so it's a thing, right? But I think that the right channel should be taken, right? Some people feel asylum is like the best channel for them as they want to flee. Right, so asylum is technically fleeing from the state, right? And some people have very valid reason for fleeing, right? So then they have very, very valid reason for going to seek asylum. Some say that their life is at risk. Some say for their religious belief. Some people are after their life. It's very valid, right? But whatever the reasons are, ensure that your documentation and your processing are okay, just so that we don't get bad name out there. And so that you also don't. I feel really sad when I hear people. It's tough to be stranded in Nigeria. Now imagine being stranded in another man's land where you know nothing and know no one, right? It's a pretty tough situation.
Yeah, you can't even thrive in such situation because you can't even work. You can't really do so much. You're literally running away from the law. But one thing that has been said is, maybe missing deadlines, criminal records. Those are certain things that kind of like undermine your process. So with this, do you think that there needs to be a lot more legal support and maybe a lot more awareness for people to know how to go through the right channels or the routes to follow when it comes to seeking asylum? And this is not even to say that we're promoting people to move out of the country. We're looking for people to even come back and put their hands in the plow and work. But just in case, someone is thinking of this, do you think there needs to be more legal support when it comes to that?
Yeah, I mean, so again, if you're going to seek asylum, right? I'm not sure that here, Nigeria, would be where you will get the legal support from to go seek asylum elsewhere, because we don't want you to go, we don't want you to flee in the first place, right?
Yeah.
But what I say is, if you need to go, right, by yourself, ensure that you seek the right kind of support and understand the documentation and requirements for the space where you are going into, right? So if you're going to USA, ensure that you understand the asylum requirements, right? So some of one of the requirements says that as soon as you are landing, right, you are filing for it. So people wait another. Maybe when their visitor's visa is about to expire, they go file for asylum. It's obvious that that's not the case, right? You're not seeking asylum, right? So it's clear, right? So understand what it means, understand like the requirements. Canada are different. I mean, I had a conversation with some people from Yemen. I mean, sometime in Europe, who flee from Yemen. I mean, they couldn't even go by air because the airspace has been shut, so they have to go by road into Europe. And I mean, as soon as they came, it was clear that these guys came to seek asylum. I mean, because there's war in their country. They said there's been over 8,000 bombs. There's war in their country, so there's a valid reason for them. So that's pretty easy. But you bought your tickets, you flew into the country, you've lived for 1 year, your visa is about to expire, now you're coming to seek asylum. I mean, it does not sound right? So understand like the processes for the space that you're about to go into. Because again, whether you're trying to seek asylum, whether you're running away from anything, we do not want anybody, we don't want any Nigerian or any African to be stranded, anywhere around the world. It's a really, really tough situation. It's also good to know that the numbers of people seeking asylum out of Africa is not as much, which is pretty good. So it means that we're fine here. I mean, all like the numbers that you see, China, India, they have like very high numbers, right? Just a bit. So yeah, but I think that in the space of what it is, yeah, we're doing good. We also have like almost over 50% approval rate, so it means that people are doing it right. But we would always encourage that if you do something, if you do something like this, a process like this, you should do it right. It's kind of like the best way. Legal support, yes, same legal support when you get there, but ensure that by yourself, right, you're able to even understand the requirements before you even get into that space. Because remember, if you get there, you need to now start paying in that currency the lawyer's fee, right? Well, if you have your documentation and you have your process model right in place already, it makes it a lot easier for you. But like for something asylum seeking, like you rightly said, but it's not our joy that anyone is stranded anywhere in the world.
Yeah. So from a policy standpoint, right, what do you think Nigeria as a country, the government, they need to be doing to, just address the root cause of the matter? Because like I said, push and pull factors, and Nigeria just seems to have a lot of push factors. So how do we address this root cause of the matter that is making people seek asylum elsewhere? Because we definitely don't want to be losing our talents. We don't want to be losing our human capital. We want everybody to be here and, stay here as long as possible. So what should Nigeria be doing at the moment?
Okay, so maybe I'll then go back into my consulting self and say maybe one of the things that we then need to check is to have a conversation or check if it's possible as a matter of diplomatic pally or something to check with the countries where Nigeria in particular have gone to seek asylum and check what are the root causes, what are like the reasons for people coming to seek asylum, right? So there are some basic laws in Nigeria that do not promote some kind of things, right? Like some kind of things which would have led to people fleeing. Now, is Nigeria right or ripe to then allow those laws slide? If not, it means that cannot be compromised, and it means what it is, right? If it's, I know some people have moved or some people have fled as they feel threatened or they feel that their life is in danger because of media conversation and the things and things they probably attend in the media, right? So it probably means that we now need to review maybe like media law and all of those things, right? But we just need to also be able to understand why people flee and then begin to look at the reasons. Well, again, like I rightly said, it is also very, very personal. To be honest, some people flee for very, very, for lack of better words, for just personal reasons, right? By the time you get there and you hear why they have fled, but they document what's untrue just to be able to get access, right? Which I say is very personal, right? As a matter of, I'm sure Nigeria has like a lot of diplomatic relationship and conversation with all of these countries and are able to review. But again, from time to time, we probably just want to like check the state of our diplomatic relationship with all of these countries and understand that, hey, we are not a bad country as it were. You know why these people are fleeing, we're able to better make things happen. Because again, people flee from even the US, people flee from everywhere around the world, right? So it's totally okay if they flee, but most importantly, our conversation with these countries just be able to understand the why, right? The why, the what, and the how to make it better.
Yeah. I mean, if we look at the bright side, we're still not doing as much numbers like, Latin America, Eurasia, even Asia, as a whole. But I think it's important that we try to fix our nation, because I'm sure the reason why a lot of people are moving is, number one, the economy. When you think of how much you need to buy fuel, when you think of the rent you have to pay, cost of transportation, inflation, feeding, there's a lot, right, that could, make you want to give up and say, you know what, I'm going to move to another country. So it's important that the government starts to look at ways to just make life more bearable for Nigerians, and they would want to be here. And I know that I've heard of cases, I think there was even a doctor last year that moved from the US to Nigeria, and he said he wanted to be here. So there's still some good in Nigeria. Anybody that's thinking of even seeking asylum elsewhere, why don't you fix your own nation? Because honestly, you're always going to be a stranger there, but this is your home, and it's important that you fix your home so that you're proud of it, and wherever you are in the world, you know that you're going somewhere else, you're going back home, and you're more comfortable there. Anyways, this is how much we can take on the show today. I want to say thank you so much for coming to Toluwase. It's always a pleasure having you on our program. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
You too.
All right, so we're speaking with Toluwase Olaniyan. He's the Executive Director, EGO Foundation. And we've just been looking at the fact that Nigeria is third in Africa for U.S. deportations. Asylum requests rise. And, we're telling people that there's still a lot of good in Nigeria. You can still work, live, eat, play, do everything here. I know that everybody wants to move abroad, in search of greener pastures, but put your house in order, fix your home, and you'll be happy and proud about it, and it's important even for the next generation to come. Anyways, this is where we have to end the show today. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me. My name is Rome Paulson. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Good morning.